It's my song, that. I mean, see, we just had Flower of Scotland as well now today.
It's just eaten the Flower of Scotland.
Yeah, I see, so.
Have you been the black sheep for the family? It's not such a bad thing after since.
Yeah.
No, not considering the whole field. Did you get a whole field?
The Bob black sheep for Kaylin. Now she can see the black sheep. The Moray Firth.
The name Inverness at the mouth of the River Ness, because of course the River Ness flows into Loch Ness.
The town is down there as well. That's where we're headed.
Flora MacDonald is gazing across to look for her fair prince, and it's rather nice. There's a bit of a windy road to take us up there, but nonetheless. So this castle is actually a Victorian castle, but can you see the statue there of Flora MacDonald? We'll just see if Richard will be able to just pause for us briefly if you just wanted a quick photograph of Flora MacDonald, but it's the only statue to her. I think it's rather nice the way she's kind of looking out for her Bonnie Prince. So there's just a space over here, so we can just briefly stop here.
Excuse the last shot, I didn't know where we were going to stop actually. This is Inverness Castle. And we won't be going in this one unfortunately, but heading out towards Loch Ness now. The River Ness. Just across, there's the castle in the background.
Where the River Ness becomes the Caledonia Canal, built by one of our great engineers, Thomas Telford, in the 1820s. And basically, the Caledonia Canal was to enable boat traffic to cut across Scotland through Loch Ness to avoid the treacherous Western Isles. And it was a great engineering feat. However, the canal wasn't deep enough for large shipping, so it was never used really for the purpose that it was built. The great geographical divide, 800 feet deep, 24 miles in length. Loch Lomond is 1 mile shorter, but is much wider. That's why Loch Lomond is the largest of the British lake. Original monster. We'll stop a little bit further down the loch, and it's near to Urquhart Castle. There are meant to be huge underwater caves, and if some kind of monsters live in the loch, it's said that it would be around that area there. But because it's such a...
We're at Loch Ness. There's the ruins of Urquhart Castle. It's blown up by the government troops. The loch is over 300 meters deep. poster shot of Urquhart Castle.
Okay.
We don't actually stop there. This is the what it looks like.
Make sure you open up in Inverness, there's quite a few of them at Culloden.
The Loch Ness on the road. We're approaching Urquhart Castle. Get an idea of the
Last year there was quite a funny story. There was a Scandinavian man who came with these huge nets, and he said he was determined that he was going to...
castle.
Remains of a castle.
Yeah. It was blown up by the government forces to prevent the Highlanders from using it again. The light unfortunately is not quite right here. So it continues, oops, out the back there.
Push you over?
No!
Done. Double done.
You won't be able to see when the trees grow up.
One, and also a larger dam called the Gloonie Dam, which you'll see further up the loch.
Hydroelectric scheme. See the countryside has changed a bit, there's also more trees. More forest.
A man called Roderick Mackenzie, who looked very much like Bonnie Prince Charlie, dressed up as him, knowing that he would be caught. And he was caught here, and he's got his final resting place by the river. It's a rather lovely location. Yeah, for his bravery, obviously, because he knew he was going to be killed for dressing up like Bonnie Prince Charlie. So he has his memorial cairn over there, but he has a rather nice location just by the river. So a quick photo stop down there. Rather nice.
Side of the grave. Roderick Mackenzie. See, he's right by the river here.
That's right, his head's on, they took his head to London.
Stuck it on a pole.
Loch Lomond.
On the site of an ancient fortress. The castle stood up until 1719, when in the earlier Jacobite rebellion some Spanish soldiers who were on the side of the old Pretender were garrisoned in the castle. A British frigate came around the corner, they panicked, and the castle was bombed. Was in total disarray, and then at the turn of the 20th century was rebuilt at a cost of £250,000 back to its former glory.
I'll stop at the castle. also sort of a old bridge. I'll just find it. There we go. Connects the castle to land. Sitting on a little island actually. Try to get a snapshot picture of it.
View as well.
Isle of Skye there. You got to pay
Very pretty little fishing village,
£85 to cross the bridge.
Eilean. After lunch, go and have a look around. You've got the Otter Centre, and they've got some quite nice sort of stories about.
Isle of Skye. There's the private bridge we've got a couple across. It's pretty barren.
Like a bird on the wing, onward the sail. Carry the light that's born to be king
£85 to cross.
over the sky.
Privately owned.
Burns out our homes, exile and death.
See where the grass is on the left hand side? There's a little tower there which is Castle Moyle. Spelled M-O-I-L. In fact, that's the name of the restaurant where we're going. And there's a lovely story that back in the 1200s, one of the local chieftains was married to a Norwegian lady called Bloody Mary. And Bloody Mary, it was said, used to stand at the castle and would demand tolls from any ships passing through the Kyle of Loch. And if a ship or boat refused to pay her the toll, she used to have a thick chain that she used to pull and rip the bottom out of the boats as they were crossing the Kyle. It was said that after a few years of married life, the chieftain disappeared and left this Mary, Saucy Mary as she's also known, to her own devices. He ran off into the Black Mountain somewhere, but anyway, she became quite a famous figure here in Skye. By the way, you've got a fantastically clear view of the Culloden, or the Black Mountains of Skye.
Over the bridge. It's the village we're going to now.
Observance. Around here now, we can come on the Sunday and things do open up, but if you go further into the island on a Sunday, you'd very much find that everything would be closed. But anyway, here you can see a few youth hostels, lovely little harbour. You've got Castle Moyle up ahead. This is a restaurant where we're having our lunch today. It's a self-service restaurant, like I say, all different types of things. And then after lunch, have a little wander around. We're going to stay here for an hour, and we shall leave at 1:45, please.
View of the ruined castle here on the Isle of Skye. See, there's not much left of it. Snapshot view. Couldn't get a t-shirt for Kaylen. There were two lovely t-shirts, but everything was in 5 to 6 years or else up to 18 months, and there's like nothing else, nobody else selling them here. So it's a bit of a tragedy actually. More on the Isle of Skye.
the last lady who lived there, when she was younger, it actually was just one room with the hole in the ceiling.
Nice waterfall coming up over here. It's started raining as well now. Turning around point on Isle of Skye. You can see one of the salmon farms down there. Quite a bit of salmon farming here. It's a very barren landscape actually. We head on down that road again just now, back where we came up. I'll try to take a better shot of one of those cottages as well. They're called black cottages, just with a hole in the roof for smoke to go out. You can see very barren up on the hill there. Cottages. Another one coming up just now actually. More cottages. Coastal Trail. On the coastal trail now, just looking at stopped at one of those viewpoints. Loch Karen. Back where we just came up.
Tommy,
Yeah.
how high are we now?
107 meters.
Folks, if you ever want to do a beautiful train ride, you can do the West Highland Way. In fact, we'll be going tomorrow when we go past Fort William and through Glencoe. You'll see the West Highland Way again, but this is part of the train journey that goes up towards Inverness. And as you can see, the train goes right by the side of the lochs, and they even have an Orient Express version that comes once a week up these parts if you want to treat yourself. The place is called Strathcarron. Strath is another old Gaelic word, at the mouth of. So Strathcarron, at the mouth of Loch Carron.
Because the road's so narrow.
I wasn't going to, there's nowhere to stop so about an hour and a bit.
here because the people are getting tired in the coach at the moment. You can already hear all the coughing and the sneezing starting. You can see all the brown patches as the heather in the background, so this place obviously is very beautiful when it starts flowering. This is the railway line going out from the station. This is quite a long trip now, a long stretch. We're on our way back to Inverness and then back to our hotel at Aviemore. We were actually looking at in that last scene. Just explains how these terraces are formed. But this wasn't actually a scheduled stop, so
below. Only seen them ever once, but they are around this area.
Sunset 21:49 in the evening. Gives an idea of the daylight hours here at this location in Scotland. On our way to Fort William.
Yes, do you want me to book away?
It's now Wednesday morning.
I think she told me about that.
And we've just left Aviemore.
Yeah,
Born on the 8th of December in 1542. She was born in Linlithgow Palace, which is halfway between Edinburgh and Glasgow. Within a week of being born, her father had died, and eventually, at the age of 9 months, she was crowned Queen of Scotland. She was crowned Queen of Scotland in Stirling Castle. Again, it's kind of central, a sort of band of Scotland between and rather ostracised the Scottish people. Now, at that time, the King of England was Henry VIII, and he tried to arrange a marriage between his son Edward and Mary, thinking that, you know, this was a way for him to extend his kingdom, and we call it the rough wooing, because Mary of Guise wasn't keen on this marriage, primarily because if it was a very long birth, it meant you were full of demons. So actually, her lady-in-waiting was lying on the bed next to her, and they were inducing the demons out of Mary's stomach and putting them into the ladies-in-waiting stomach, who also went through all the motions of giving birth as well. Anyway, just a little insight into how the medieval mind worked. Anyway, she successfully had her age. She prayed fervently because she felt herself at that stage to be a martyr to her religion.
Trafalgar. Approaching, it's in the where the Monarch of the Glen was shot. You might see some of the scenes.
Anyway, yesterday the weather was almost too perfect, and a bit more typical Highland weather today with the Scotch mist and all of that on the Loch Lomond.
Oh, so this one's got a dragon.
Huh?
This one's got a dragon in it.
Loch Lomond?
Oh,
Not dragon. Loch
I thought there was a Loch Ness and Lost Dragon. Okay.
It's no wonder people's stories get exaggerated. I said lager, he says dragon, and then he'll go home and say, I saw a dragon in LA, you know. That's how legends start, isn't it?
I know, and perpetuate. No reason why a good legend can't improve.
Well, that's it. Everybody always adds their own little bit to it. I'm sure. It's human nature to do that, isn't it? You make a story
Yes.
slightly more spicy. You know. But I don't really have to.
Oh, this is
It's one of the scenes where they shot the Monarch of the Glen. They used that house over there. Can't see too clearly, but it's very nice scenery actually. We should be seeing a couple more scenes that were used in the film, and then we're still moving on to Harry Potter country, where they shot the Hogwarts Express scenery. But this is now Monarch of the Glen country.
Built in the year 1934, part of the hydroelectric scheme for Fort William.
Right, put the lens cap on. Can't see it.
All Scottish mountains are called bens. Anything over 1,000 feet is called a ben. Anything over 3,000 feet is also called a munro. And there are hundreds of munros in Scotland, and some people like to climb all of the munros, and there are said to be some 300 that can be climbed. There's a little memorial garden which is new. That was just started last year, where actual individual names of commandos are actually mentioned, and some of them have got the photographs of them there as well. So we'll stop there for a photograph, and we'll see how the weather's looking on Ben Nevis.
At the Speen Bridge, site of where the commandos train. Go up to the memorial now. Snow on top of the mountains there.
Well folks, if you look back to the left now, that's the Ben Nevis, and the Nevis mountain range, and you'll see the Commando Memorial coming into view in a moment, and it actually makes quite a dramatic picture having the statue and the mountains in the background. The statues are 9 feet high, so it's sort of larger than life, and it's got a rather nice story written on the side of the memorial there.
The memorial itself. Commemorating the 1945 or the Second World War commandos. Another shot of the mountains in the background. Ben Nevis in the background there. Ben Nevis Distillery, Port William. There's some of the hairy beasts. William at the moment, there's not much time really, just bought a couple of presents, some little linen shirts and stuff. I haven't got time to get to the main town, so I just found this. It's now centered inside a graveyard. This is the original. See, I can find a nice, some quite interesting graves, so I'll get a nice still shot into a Celtic cross or something. This is the Reverend John McIntosh, minister for 30 years.
Just building
very much
right.
Just a few rocks actually. Yeah. So we're just leaving Fort William, heading for our lunch stop at the moment. There wasn't much of the fort anyway. This is the direction we just came from now, Fort William. Crossing over a big bridge here. We're heading towards Glen, where the massacre took place. Up in the valley somewhere there. Went across.
In a moment or two we'll be coming through the new village of Glen, and also you'll see views of little islands off to our left hand side, and one of the islands, I'll try to show you which one in a moment, is where all of the MacDonalds are buried. That's their final resting place, the 38 men killed in that massacre. They're all buried on the islands a bit further up with the little bushes and trees. That's the one that they're all buried on, to the far left, at sort of that's 11 o'clock from us now.
Another view of the islands.
The car flying above it, that's all. have to watch it now.
I guess so.
Gives you a good excuse.
This is where Harry Potter was shot, the train scene, the car flying above. There isn't a train line here, actually they just computer generated the train line. It's the Valley of Glencoe. They'll stop us now for an outside shot. Up the valley. Came from down there now. The original town of Glencoe was up here. This is where the massacre took place. Snow up on the mountains. And that's where we're headed. A lot of waterfalls. I just missed one or two nice ones, but anyway, winding away up to the top.
Further along there'll be a sign telling us exactly the height that we are.
It's the moor.
And it was said that in days of old, both William Wallace, Braveheart, and also King Robert the Bruce, they both hid here with their armies while being pursued by the King of England of the day, Edward I. Also a little bit further up there's the Glencoe ski lifts. You'll see them up there further up on the mountainside up to the right.
Similar to what Dartmoor would have looked like, just with heather. That's bare.
Harry Potter 3 was being filmed here, down by those lakes there. I don't know what they were filming, but there was about 20 vans along the side of a road, and the director had a big white tent and his big chair was there, and there was all people there, so I don't know what was going on. If you're wondering why I know all about Harry Potter, I do Harry Potter tours as well. I've got one in about 2 weeks where I have to take the muggles and the wizards all the way around and show them all the Harry Potter locations. Unfortunately we don't actually come up here, but we go to all the other Harry Potter locations. But anyway, if you see film 3, look out for these little lakes down here. I don't know what they were doing, but they spent 3 weeks here, and they even built some house which one of my colleagues saw, and he was like amazed as driving past, and suddenly this house had been built as a set somewhere here on the moor. But it all looks to be back to normal now. When I was here, but
so the filming took place. Conrad, why did they choose you to do the tour?
I'm not the only one that does them, but I've done 2 and I'm doing a 3rd one.
Oh.
Because all the wizards enjoyed themselves. They've asked me to do another one. I've got to take 49 travel agents round and pretend they're children so that they can sell Harry Potter to us.
Coming into Tundrum in a few minutes for lunch, just before 1 o'clock now, Wednesday. There's a bridge in the distance. See, it's very treeless here. Pretty no trees in the lake. Quite a lot today, at least 20-30 people. It's a forest here. All these forests have been planted though, they're not natural in the area. Loch Lomond for our boat trip.
Two young lovers who came from Loch Lomond, and one of them went to fight with Bonnie Prince Charlie at the Battle of Culloden, and his name was John, and John was one of the ones who wasn't killed. He was taken prisoner, and he was taken prisoner down to Urquhart Castle, where many of the Highlanders were taken. Some 2,000 were taken prisoner, and his beloved heard that he'd been taken a prisoner, and she started the long walk from Loch Lomond down to Carlisle. On reaching the gates of the castle, she inquired as to how her beloved was. It took them a long time to get back to her with a reply, but eventually they came back to her and said that unfortunately he had been shot that morning, because what was happening at Carlisle, as a vengeance to the Highlanders, the king, every day, every 10th man was taken out of the lineup and shot, and John had been shot that morning. But they said that before he had been shot, he had written her a letter, and the letter started, "Dearest beloved, ye take the high road and I'll take the low road. I'll be in Scotland before you, for ye are my true love, and I know we'll never meet on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond," because he knew he was going to be killed, and he knew that his spirit would return back to Loch Lomond way before she would have had time to have walked the earthly road back to Loch Lomond. So another sad story. Not going to have any more sad stories now, only happy ones. Only happy ones now.
It's the largest loch in Great Britain.
That was almost another sad story, wasn't it? He wasn't going to slow down for anyone. Well folks, the plan of action, in just a few minutes we'll be pulling up at Inverness.
This is the boat we're going to take now on the cruise across Loch Lomond. And we'll be departing down that way. It's about 24 miles long. We're doing about an hour cruise or so. Little ducks swimming along there. See mommy with his little babies. Just hope they don't get sucked under the propellers.
Land chief was then forced to move to another island further north, Island Ivau. Where he continued his raids, but the pickings were quite as rich and he soon became bankrupt. He then took advantage of the cheap passage being offered to the Highlanders from Scotland to the Americas. Once there, managed to accumulate another fortune, and later became a well-known antiquarian. And the six birds there in swimming in line are Canada geese. One time they came across here in the winter, but we'll get quite a number stay in this area now. You'll see them around the loch, see them further south as we travel down. There's something like 200 species of birds to be found around Loch Lomond. It comes from Loch Skye, about 2 miles inland, and it comes through that mountain via a man-made tunnel. The water then descends those pipes at the rate of 1 million gallons per minute. That drives the turbines in the building at the bottom, generating electricity. And it is one of the cleanest methods of doing so. The scheme was opened in 1953 by the late Her Majesty the Queen Mother. The largest it is Rob Roy McGregor. He was born at Glen, which is not far from here, but in adulthood made his home on the east shore of Loch Lomond in this area. In fact, he owned a sizable amount of the east side of the loch. From there he carried on a very good business of cattle breeding and cattle trading. He did have another part of his business. In those days it was called reaving. Reaving is an old Scottish word. Today's language would probably equate to extortion or blackmail. Because this is where he took money from those drovers that were using this drovers trail. That money was ensured their safe passage under his and his clansmen's protection. They had little choice, because if they failed to pay the money, then Rob Roy would just take some of their cattle in lieu of payment. He decided to expand his cattle breeding programme at one time, and from James, the first Duke of Montrose, he borrowed the sum of £1,000, a vast amount of money in those days. We're talking about the early 1700s. Unfortunately, Rob Roy entrusted this money to one of his head drovers, a chap by the name of MacDonald, who promptly disappeared along with the money. Rob Roy went after him, and the Duke of Montrose wrongly assumed that Rob would also run off with the money, put a price in his head and seized his lands. Turned his family out of their home, which was done none too gently, and declared Rob Roy an outlaw. Rob rightly felt aggrieved at this, and for some number of years carried on a sort of guerrilla warfare against the Duke of Montrose, stealing his cattle and sheep and robbing his red men and rents with living kind. And it became such a nuisance
Still circling by. Dock now at Loch Lomond. Saw this place here. Probably a hotel actually. There's our coach. Miles.
When you go to many European countries, that's the main whiskey that people drink. But here it's very rare that you find a bottle of Ballantine's, and it's rather expensive in Britain as well. But anyway, that's their bottling plant there.
Yeah.
Money must be inside if that's all full of whiskey.
Whiskey bond houses at Dumbarton. Jackie Stewart's father's garage in Dumbarton. Glasgow.
Now, of course, the signs for A82 have gone now. It's straight across. I wasn't quite sure. In a council block like that at a vastly reduced rent, and it's affordable. And nowadays, if you are a council tenant, you have the right to buy as well, which Mrs. Thatcher introduced. So you can actually buy your property and get onto the property ladder in that way.
This is a sad
But
story.
Glasgow, Gaelic-speaking churches in the city and Gaelic societies as well, but also, of course, a very large amount of Irish immigrants came here during the potato famine years, and so, of course, these people have lived here since the 1850s, but, you know, about half the population of Glasgow would have Irish roots. Purpose-built apartments. But the ones coming up in the red sandstone on the right-hand side, Victorian tenements, very typical for the city, although we have them in Edinburgh as well. They're generally 4-storey buildings, but on the ground level you'll have all the shops, you know, sort of all the amenities, and then between the shops you'll see the tiled entrances into the tenements. Of course, there are good tenements and not very good ones. Some of the very bad tenements in the east part of the city have all been demolished now. You've probably heard of the Gorbals. That was one of the notorious areas of East Glasgow, and the tenements there, you know, the apartments were very, very small with no running water off very often, you know, very bad facilities, and so, you know, many of those tenements have been knocked down. But let's say the ones coming up now, you know, will be 2- or 3-bedroom tenements, which make very nice homes. City was always the richest part because people wanted the smoke to go away from them, so the smoke always went from west to east. It's the same in London. You know, West London is the